Hello and welcome back to OmniFoot TV. This is your host Omar speaking, and today Atletico de Madrid have sealed La Liga. Diego Simeone has etched his name among the greats to have ever coached the club, becoming only one of 3 managers in the club's history to lift the title twice. I'm quite thrilled for Atleti. You know, when the changing of the guard happens in any of Europe's top 5 leagues, it should be welcomed with a good bit of excitement. Granted, the season was quite hectic. None of the teams performed to the standards that they could have on paper. And that's just, I don't necessarily think that's just my opinion. If you ask the fan bases of either Madrid or Barcelona, I think they'd have a lot to say about their managers and their players. But my main point for today is, apart from congratulating Simeone on lifting the trophy, obviously, I'm not taking any credit away from that Atletico side. My problem today is Ronald Koeman. I am absolutely shocked. I am genuinely shocked that man let Suarez go for 6 million. FC Barcelona let Luis Suarez go for 6 million to a league rival. And Suarez sealed the title today against Valladolid. Koeman is not a good manager. Ronald Koeman is not a good manager. He is an example of how having such a grand reputation as a player proves that just because you were a great player, you won't be a good manager. Ronald was a Barcelona legend. And I think when the board decided to bring him in, they thought that he would be the second coming of Johan Cruyff. But I think fans knew what to expect if they had paid attention to what he did at Everton, because he was absolutely horrible at Everton. Now, his stint when it came to the Holland national team, the team was so stacked with quality that he did get a couple of tactical ticks here and there. He ticked a couple of boxes, but, you know, a broken clock is right once or twice a day. That's exactly what Koeman is to me. And I'm going to read a couple of notes that I wrote down based on a letter, a letter that was written from Everton fans to Barcelona on what to expect from Koeman. Apparently, people who worked at Everton described Koeman as, quote-unquote, aloof, belligerent, uncommunicative, bearing little empathy or even contact with the club's academy. He chose where players were allowed to sit and even eat. He was an uncompromising disciplinarian. I think it's enough to also bring up Omar Nyassi's incident. If you're not familiar with that, Everton signed Omar Nyassi. I'm not necessarily sure if he's still at the club, so excuse me if I'm ignorant on the matter. But what Koeman did was he demoted him from the first team simply because he did not like him. He didn't want him in his setup, so he demoted him to the under-21s, the youth level. Fine, I see what you did there. But after doing that, he also made sure that Nyassi would have no locker room. He didn't have a locker within the under-21's locker room in order to place his things. I think that's just hilarious. It's hilariously disrespectful. The man has 0 man management skills. He's uncooperative, he doesn't communicate, and he plays players out of position almost all the time. And the best examples I can give you from watching Everton myself, he played Gylfi Sigurdsson as a left winger and played Dominic Calvert-Lewin as a right wing back. I don't think there could have been dumber decisions that he could have made at that point. And Everton were spending. He wanted to build this team. It's quite obvious to me that the man has delusions of grandeur. And I find it just insulting that the man got the job at Barcelona simply because of his ties to the club. His CV, horrible. Saved not his time with the Netherlands because that team was just too good. So I think his stint there practically saved his CV. Granted, I would have said he had potential, but he has made so many mistakes as FC Barcelona manager throughout the season that it is just impossible for me to look past them. And his primary mistake, the worst mistake of his managerial career, is letting Suarez go. Suarez has scored 21 goals this season in the league and has managed 3 assists. At the age of 34, top flight football, double figures in terms of goals. He's averaged 20 passes a game, completing 70% of his passes. He has a 70% conversion rate. He's had 42 shots on target and 42 shots off target. The same exact number. He's been extremely effective, all while playing as Atletico Madrid's second striker. He's scored some crucial goals, and he's actually led Atleti to the title. A player who was told at the beginning of this season that he would not be in the plans of the club. He wouldn't be in Koeman's plans leading Barcelona. Sold for 6 million. A fee that no player of that stature should be sold for that price. I can't even remember how much they sold Vidal for, because they sold him for a very low price as well. Barcelona's business decisions have been absolutely horrible. Bringing in Aguero, in my opinion, is the dumbest decision they could have ever made. Since when have FC Barcelona ever been a club of scraps? No disrespect meant to Aguero, but he is done. Sergio Aguero is done. You get rid of Suarez only to sign Aguero a season later. Who does that? How does this make sense in this man's mind? Apparently, his brain swapped hemispheres. I can't believe this man. I genuinely can't. And I'm not trying to take credit away from Simeone, despite the fact that Madrid and Barcelona hadn't necessarily played well up until the end of the season. Simeone did his part. His Atletico team did their part. They seized the opportunity. That is what football is about. It's never been about the chances you miss. It's always about the chances you take. And that's what Diego Simeone did. That's what his team did on the pitch. Suarez has been clutch throughout multiple occasions this season. Players go to the MLS, Qatar, any other league in Asia at his age. Look where he is now at the age of 34. He was told he was done and dusted. He could have easily gone anywhere else in the world. Thought to give up on playing. Imagine how much his price tag to Atletico hurt his pride as a player. A treble winner with Barcelona. Not given a proper goodbye. Told he had to leave without a moment's notice. By a manager who basically has no communication skills whatsoever. It is unbelievable. Especially when you take into consideration that Messi apparently requested Bielsa by name when they had no options for managers and Barcelona decided to go for Koeman. Absolutely hilarious. I just don't know what this man's business is in management. I don't believe that this man has a shred of credibility after making such a mistake. The first thing that came to my mind after paying attention to what had occurred today and to the domino effect that has led us to this point was Roberto Carlos's conversation with Roy Hodgson at Inter, where Roy wanted to play him as a striker. And Roberto told him, You don't understand football. Now, granted, Hodgson has made some horrendous errors throughout his years as a manager. But that one obviously stands atop the list. And I think what Koeman did with Suarez is equally as stupid. It is equally as ignorant. You let go of a striker who was capable of scoring double figures despite his age. This is the most baffling decision I've heard of in recent memory. I remember how weird it was for me to see Dominic Calvert-Lewin play at right wing back, and seeing how well he's done under Ancelotti in general as a striker. You look at that, and you just look at Ancelotti, and you look at Koeman. Ancelotti, Koeman. What has Koeman done throughout his career to warrant him the job at Barcelona? What have so many players... There have been so many players who've gotten jobs simply because of their namesakes. Simply because of their reputations at these clubs. Since when has European football ever been about that? Since when have the standards been so low? I mean, there have been players who have been exceptional in regards to how they made their way up to these jobs and how well they've done. I mean, you could say that experience is overrated to a certain extent because it's all about the personality. It's all about the mind. It's all about the approach. Look at how well Pep Guardiola did. Look at how well Zidane has done. Apart from the past 2 seasons as manager where Madrid fans probably wanted to eat his heart out. But just look at their CVs. Pirlo has just won the Coppa Italia. Does anyone rate him? It's madness. This is absolute madness. It's Arteta. Arteta is still at Arsenal, and they finished the season in I don't even remember. I don't know if I have ever lived to see an Arsenal side be this irrelevant. And yet Arsenal fans are talking about trusting the process. And this video isn't about Arsenal, but I'm just using this as an example. Barcelona fans are happy for Suarez, by the way, for the fact that he won Atletico the league and proved Koeman wrong, which to me is hilarious. I think it's nice as a sentiment, but it also shows you how much the club's standards have fallen. Barcelona have made terrible business decision after terrible business decision. And if I were Laporta, I'd sack Koeman and bring someone in with at least the ability to communicate. I think the only reason Koeman hasn't been found out at Barcelona is because he hasn't crossed Messi. Because he knows he can't. This is just incomprehensible. It's hilariously incomprehensible. This needs to stop. This seriously needs to stop. I gave Brendan Rodgers as an example when Leicester won the FA Cup. A man who had to work at the warehouse to provide for his family. Who worked his way up, got his coaching badges at Reading. Then went to Chelsea to work under Mourinho. Then went off to Swansea. Did great work with them. Went to Liverpool, nearly won the title, was criticised. After that, he went to Scotland, became a serial winner for Celtic, won them the treble, the domestic treble in Scotland. And, dear Lord, he had an invincible season. That is not hard to do. That is not easy to do in Europe. Excuse me. That is not easy to do in Europe. He came back to Leicester, won them their very first FA Cup last week. I am just absolutely... Why aren't there not more examples like Brendan Rodgers? Like Scott Parker, who at least... He's at Fulham. Parker has been a good manager for Fulham despite the fact that they've been relegated. He's shown promise. He's still there. I know this may be a little or if it could present double standards, because I gave an example of Scott Parker. But look at how well he's tried to do for Fulham. They're relegated. They're sticking by him, apparently. He still gets to work his way up. And I look at Lampard at Chelsea. I wanted Lampard to manage Chelsea. As a fan, I admire Frank. I have been a great fan of Frank Lampard for years and years and years, but I just knew he wouldn't cut it at the end of the day. Deep down, I knew he would not cut it, despite how well his first season went in comparison to everyone else's expectations. You don't skip steps in management. Certain people may do that, like Pep, because there's something there. There's this spark. There's this... I don't know what to call it necessarily, but I guess you can call it an X factor. There's a dividing line. There's a focal point. There's just something there, and very few managers have that. Look at Jose Mourinho, how he started out as Sir Bobby Robson's translator, I think. And just read on from there. It's hilarious to think that becoming a manager of a top-tier club has become that easy. Where's the merit? Where in God's name is the merit? These clubs have been built upon foundations of excellence. Excellence isn't something you attain and just throw away. It is a habit. Excellence is a habit. It's something you work on every day. It's something you aspire to every day. No wonder Bayern Munich have been winning the Bundesliga 9 years in a row now. And Flick is a very good example of that X factor. But now you have people like Pirlo, you had Lampard, you have Arteta. It's just, yeah, and you have Koeman. All I'm gonna say is, the man better lose his job soon if the club actually wants to go anywhere. And I congratulate every Atletico de Madrid fan watching this, if there are any. Congratulations to you, you've earned it. Everyone else bottled it, you didn't. Apparently, Ronaldo wanted to pay the Valladolid players, Ronaldo Nazario, because he owns the club, he wanted to pay them a sum of £150,000 or so if they had beaten Atletico. Real Madrid through and through, eh? I can't help but express my anger at the fact that football nowadays just seems easier than it used to be. Mentalities have changed. Perspectives have shifted. I just don't support it. It makes it difficult to love the game with the same level of conviction. It makes it hard to tune into a game knowing that, hey, these people got to where they are without making much sacrifices. They got to where they are because they rested on their laurels. Their past got them to where they are now. They just used that as a get in for free card. I don't condone that. I don't approve of it. And there are very few moments, like I said, where that could work because of that X factor. And still, it's not even the same then. I'm just going to leave this video here because I genuinely just couldn't help but express how angry I was. It's just, it isn't fair. It isn't fair for competition's sake. You know, football is supposed to be fair for competition's sake. And I know I go on and on about this, but seriously. How are we supposed to love our clubs and cheer them when that level of conviction that they supposedly strive for, they don't get people who are interested in working towards, or get people who actually have it in them to work towards with the right kind of potential. You know, they say don't judge a book by its cover. But the cover should tell you enough about the book, right? Thank you all for tuning in. I am just frustrated. Thank you all for watching. Seriously. Basically went on a rant for close to 20 minutes now. I'm going to post an article on Suarez later tonight. Probably go live on Instagram if you'd like to tune in. All of the links to our social media accounts are in the description below. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy our content. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you think I said anything wrong that you disagree with, also please let me know. I'd like to see if other people have different perspectives. And well, I'll see you next time the whistle blows. The season is almost at an end, everyone. We've got reviews coming up. Enjoy your weekends, and cheers.